Old pal joining me for a few minutes, checking in. The guy you just heard singing there way back in the mid 80s with Poison, the voice of Poison, and so much more these days. Bret Michaels, what's happening, brother?
I am doing awesome, Eddie. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. What kind of memories hearing something that old does that conjure up for you?
Nothing but good memories. It reminds me of us living behind the dry cleaner, writing that song, living in sleeping bags behind a dry cleaner in downtown LA, writing that first record, and just the sound of the rawness of CeCe's guitar and all that. This year, or I should say 2014, will officially, for Poison, mark our 30th anniversary of us actually getting together. And then, and that was back in 84, and then it wasn't until 86 that Look But the Cat Dragged officially came out. But 84 with CeCe, and of course many demo and bar years before that. But it just brings awesome memories, and that's one of the songs we want to put back in the set for sure.
Oh, it's such a kick-ass song. What year did you guys move from Pennsylvania to LA?
Yeah, that was, I want to say, the end of 83, early 84, somewhere in that area.
So was any material that made it onto the first Poison album, was any of it written while you guys were still in Pennsylvania, or did it all come together when you moved to out west where you really started working on it?
No, we wrote some of it going across. Some of it we played in bars on the East Coast before that. And we were one of those bands that back in the day, we would, in the bar sets, they wanted you to play 3 to 5 sets of cover stuff, and we would always slip in our own music in between there. And luckily had some good fans, and then we finally packed it up in the van and moved out there. And I would say probably about 4 or 5 of those songs actually made the first record, and definitely some of the riffs that were other riffs. Stuff that became nothing but a good time was a riff from a song we did before. Just different things that you do when you're writing. And then eventually, we went through several guitar players, and finally CeCe and us were together and all got together in Los Angeles, and we went in and did our first independent record, which was Look What the Cat Dragged.
Well, it's there's a lot that's happened between now and then, Bret.
A lot has happened. A lot.
The good, bad, the ugly, the whole gamut. And I mean, we've talked a lot about it over the years, and all the years you've been coming on my shows, and it's always so much fun catching up some. The one thing before we get to your current record that I didn't even realize is that there was a Poison show just recently. I thought that you guys were pretty much, as far as Poison was concerned, on the down low this year, but you just played like a week ago, I heard, right?
Yeah, we were waiting out. We have been playing a lot, over the last, I want to say the last 4 or 5 summers. We've been playing quite a bit, been out with Def Leppard, of course, and Kiss, Leonard Skinner, Motley, a bunch of different bands we've gone out and co-headlined with and had a great time. This year we were picking select dates, which is what we did. We did, Indy at Carpe and broke the all-time attendance record. Then we did Spokane, and that was last weekend, and it was unbelievable. And we just picked different parts of the country to pick out a couple shows for this year. And then next year we'll officially kick off the 30th anniversary of the 84 of us actually getting together and starting. We'll kick off next year, and hopefully that'll be Def Leppard and Poison again, and another great band going out on the road and having an awesome time.
So you are going to celebrate that 84 anniversary of the formation of the band, or at least, like you said, coming to LA and the kind of official start of the band. So you will go out and do Poison shows at that point. But has anybody in the band, has there been any dialogue between you guys about potentially making a new album?
Yeah, and I say this, I don't know as far as a new CD goes. I don't know if we'll do, 10 songs, 12 songs, but I know definitely, without a doubt, we definitely want to cut 1 or 2 new tracks, even if it's just a digital release and it's great. I think going back in and doing that is really good for all of us, because the strange thing, Eddie, is, and you see this when we get on stage, good, bad, or fugly, there is a great chemistry. When we hit that stage, there's something that just is right. It's right. And we truly are, even through the fist fights and the ups and downs, we're still great friends. And in the end of it, none of us forget where we came from, how hard we struggled to get there and stay there. And I think that's really for us to write a couple just great, straight in your face, good sounding, raw rock songs would be awesome. And take them back out on the road next year and mix it up with all the hits and have a great summer tour.
You know, I'm sitting here laughing and smiling because you're talking about the fist fights and everything, and it just brought back a memory for me of around 2006 when I went out to LA. And one of the last interviews I did at the old VH1 Classic, long before I did that metal show, was with you guys. You were at Henson Studios, and you had just put out a hits record with a couple new songs, but it was just after the onstage fight incident. And I remember, and if people have watched that interview, if it's on YouTube, I'm sitting there talking to you, the four of you, and you know, there was a great division and some ugliness in the band at that time. But when I started talking to you about it, nobody could even actually put their finger on what the hell really happened.
No one knows, and that's always what happens. That is the story of my life. You know, and I say this, my life is a series of comedy and error, right? It's just things that happen. It's and one of the things that happened, I tried to put my finger on it since then, and I think that was the one between Bobby and myself, correct?
Yeah, and when I brought it up and we started, I felt like a shrink, because then when I started to peel away the layers, I realized you guys had never really talked about it amongst yourselves, and then you kind of, it's fascinating, because if you watch the interview, you kind of just, a revelation happens, and it's like the air clears immediately once it's discussed.
Yeah, we laugh, and we see Bobby laugh about it all the time. We're like, do you actually remember? And I said, I think it started the night before we played at the arena in Nashville. And I remember us arguing over the set list. Like, I'm like, well, let's add this. Now, let's take this out. Here's the good thing, Eddie, about it. We still give a damn about what we're doing. So I'm glad we haven't gotten to that point where no one cares what we do. We're still arguing over songs. So there's the good side. The downside is we're arguing over songs. And the next day we got on stage, and it just got ugly. And I think something happened. He rammed the mic, shoved the mic, went flying down in to the audience. Then I turned around, said something. He said something. He threw something. He hit me with the bass. I threw something at his head. And the next thing you know, I was in Karate Kid stance, and we were kung fuing each other. It was great. There was all kinds of kung fu going on.
You know something, Bret, as having been in this business now 30 years and being on the inside of a lot of different bands and seeing the mechanics of so many bands over the decades, Poison is in very good company of bands that don't always get along. I mean, I think you guys are more public about it, and you're kind of an open book about things, but there are so many bands that really are five very individual parts, but when they do get on that stage, just like you said with you guys, it really, there's a chemistry that you can't substitute.
Absolutely. And let me even go deeper on that. This is the thing. No one has ever made me laugh harder than those guys, had more fun, had great times, down times. There's an absolute bond. There's a bond. Good, bad, or indifferent, there's a bond there. And when I say, when you start out independent and everyone, we laughed about this show. We read these stories. I'm a believer, so I'm reading these stories of, I signed a record deal back in the day. There was caviar, Learjets, all this stuff. When we signed our independent record deal, we were shrink wrapping our own CDs while I was sitting on the floor of a warehouse in El Segundo, California. And that is the bond of four of us standing there shrink wrapping albums and sticking them in these things. And we couldn't have cared less. We were drinking beer. We were having a great time. And that's that bond. You said it right. You get on stage and it still works. And like I said, we've been through a lot together, but remain absolutely great friends and probably playing better as a band and musically now than we ever have, and probably even more fun.
Well, let me just tell everybody, though, don't let Bret fool you. He is quite the diva, because he, at one time when he came to my radio studio years ago, requested ice at room temperature.
I had to have ice, and peanuts. I needed peanuts, lukewarm peanuts. Absolutely. I can't live without lukewarm. You gave me, you even stole my peanuts.
I gave Bret picked over jar of peanuts from the Giants game tailgate party the week before, and he asked for his ice to be room temperature. I mean, you couldn't make it up.
I need room temperature.
That was one of the greatest ones you ever hit me with, man. I'll take that one to my grave.
Let's never forget this. Right after that, The next day, I was going to Iraq to play for all the soldiers.
Yes.
Do you remember this? We went to an Irish pub. Can I speak about this freely?
Yes.
Before I throw you under the bus? I wouldn't do that. We got hammered. I'm just going to say, I went to Iraq pickled. It was great. And when I landed, I was sober, and I should have stayed because I'll tell you, it was a crazy, awesome experience. You know, I'm a big, huge supporter of our men and women in the military.
Absolutely.
Love our freedom, love my freedom, love our freedom. And I got over there, and I got to tell you something. We started, and they were bombing every base we were at. They were nailing it. And it was crazy, but we went and did the concerts anyway, and people could see all that footage. But we had the best time at that Irish pub. We made a toast, and off to Iraq I went.
Yeah, we didn't know if it was the last time we were going to see you, so we sent you out the right way.
Absolutely. Listen, you're going to go out the right way. We did a toast. You staggered into the night one direction, I staggered the other, and that was it.
I still wish I had the text from you, though. I need ice, room temperature before I come in. I mean, you couldn't make it up. That was just brilliant. Well, Bret and I could swap stories forever here about just some fun stuff we've done over the years, but you have a new record out. You have a number of things I want to touch on because I saw you play at M3 this year where you headlined and closed the show and turned in a great set with your solo band. And you now have a record out, and it's funny because we're talking about all these experiences that you and I have had, but you've had experiences like this with so many people over the years where you've had people come up and jam, you've had fun with people, you've done cover songs, you've done a wide variety of music and played with a wide variety of people, and you've actually, in my view, this record, Jammin' with Friends, I mean, the title says it all. To me, this is really kind of a celebration of all that, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, one of the things that I've made very clear, we've talked about, is I'm a true believer that music is by choice. It's absolutely a universal language. You go in there, you listen to the songs, you like the stuff that you don't care for, you don't listen to it, right? And I think when, like, doing M3 and being able to headline that with the solo band, for me, that I brought all the pyro. I brought a big show. I love meeting the fans. I like hanging out. We got a chance to talk before the show, you and me, and I think a little after, if I remember.
Yep.
But it was one of those experiences where the fans were having a great time. Let's not forget it dropped down to like 50 degrees. No one left. It was packed. It was a party. And that's the thing for me over the years, whether it was on stage, with me, people like Leonard Skinner, Joe Perry from Aerosmith, Ace Frehley from Kiss, Michael Anthony Van Halen, all these different guys, Phil Collins from Def Leppard. Then you get in there and get Sal Costa, all of a sudden say I'm there, and it's unbelievable. All these different guys from different bands, whether they're hard rock, alternative, you get Jimmy Buffett doing Margaritaville, you turn around and have a little John rapping on it. That's what Jammin' with Friends is all about. It just literally is taking the music I've written over the years, of music I love, and letting just different friends jam on it with me.
Yeah, as I look through the booklet here, which, you need to kind of connect the dots because there are so many, first of all, single disc with 20 tracks. So that's pretty amazing. And then you start to piece it together and you have like a grid, like track 16 was number A, and you start to put it all together and you see how many different people you have on here and wide-ranging artists. How many of these guys, Bret, like Ace, like Joe Perry, some of the hard rock guys that obviously are iconic, Leslie West, so many. How many of these guys were you able to actually do these songs with and actually connect with them versus have them kind of send in tracks? Because what I'm getting at is a lot of people know that a lot of albums, because of logistics and technology, are now made where people kind of record a part and send it in, and other times you get lucky and you actually line up where you can actually jam eye to eye with somebody. So what balance was that? Was this all kind of just people sending stuff in, or did you actually be able to go into the studio with some of these guys?
It was a definite combination of both. Sometimes scheduling just didn't allow it. I'm torn on the East Coast. The record's got to be done. Someone's on the West Coast or vice versa. We wanted to do some with Zakk Wylde. He was in Russia. That one, we'll wait for the future for that. That would have been great. But Leslie West was absolutely great. He just happened to be in New York while I was touring on the West Coast. and just different things. But some of these were absolute magical moments. For me, as also a fan, I make no bones, I like my country music too, and I grew up on a lot of that with my family. And Loretta Lynn, me and her hung out on the ranch and did it. Joe Perry playing slide was great. There was a lot of great moments that were magical, but none of it was really flown in. Like, if it wasn't me, then in my solo band, which I spend 9 months of the year with, if I'm not out with Poison, Pete would be there with him doing the tracks that we had laid down and going through them. And so it really it had a great chemistry to it.
Yeah, and I know, and we're talking about Pete Evick, your guitarist and your right-hand man with the solo record, and a good friend as well. I know that I remember when Pete was going in to record Ace, he called me because Ace and I have huge history and are good friends. I know that was a big moment for him to be able to go in and kind of produce and get a solo out of Ace Frehley for nothing but a good time.
Yeah, it was huge. And you know what happened with that? Ace was, and again, I want to be careful what I say, saying too much. He was on the East Coast when we were going to do it, and then he was going out to the West Coast, if you know what I'm talking about. I think maybe on a more permanent basis, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And at that point, we were on the East Coast ready to go, and then he was out on the West Coast, and at that point, it just made it tough to be able to make it work. I was shooting the new show, the Rock My RV on Travel Channel, and that's an insane amount of time. So some of those situations are tough, but what I talked to Ace about is I said, listen, we did Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp together. We had a great time, and just going there, I just want you to be you. I don't want anything other than just Ace doing a solo and nothing but a good time. And every time I listen to it now, it sounds like Ace. It's a really cool. It just gives me shock me vibes.
Well, I'm going to play it before after we hang up. But what I found kind of funny about it is that, and I mean this with all due respect, Nothing But a Good Time, the Poison version of it, was very Kiss, Ace reminiscent, especially CC solo. So now you actually have Ace himself playing on a song that I think to begin with was pretty much in that wheelhouse.
No doubt, no doubt. And then to have Michael Anthony play bass on it, when you hear, I call it his high runs, so he gets the really awesome high notes on the bass. It just sounded, Michael's a good friend, and we truly have partied together a lot of times, and he did a great job. And then on one version, I have Little John that did Celebrity Apprentice with me rapping on it, and put this little tag in there that's just really cool. And it's just, again, I go back to music is, to me, I walk on that stage, and every time you're around me, that energy, that's that moment of magic. When I walk on that stage, everything bad in my life goes away. Anything that's up, down, sideways, diabetes, anything, I walk on that stage and I feel blessed. And that I think that shows on the new record, Jamming with Friends. There's a good energy to it.
Yeah, I love Michael Anthony as well. He's a great guy. I have so much fun when I see him, and that voice too. Did you get to sing a little bit on it?
Oh, hell yeah. He's got one of the best voice ever, man. He hit some high notes, and it was just an amazing job. And one of the guys, you want to know one of the guys that actually did an amazing job on this record was Frank Hannon from Tesla.
Oh, yeah.
We remade Unskinny Bop, and when you hear that round and down, you got to play that, man. Just the slide on that. If you just listen to the musicianship on that, it's really, really, it's really good.
Frank and that band in general are just phenomenal. Frank's one of the most underrated guitar players out there. He's just brilliant, as is all of Tesla. Just one of my favorite bands from that era. Phenomenal.
Absolutely. They're great players, great guys.
So listen, man, tell me, I know, I think Pete mentioned to me too, I guess you're getting ready to do some press stuff because you're doing Fox and Friends?
Yeah, I'm kicking off, or I'm part of their big summer concert series. We wanted to do this for a couple years, and it finally happened, and it's this. I want to tell everybody, it's in the streets, 7 to 9. It's going to be in the streets, rain, shine, hail, or heat. I'm coming to play.
7 to 9 a.m.
Yeah, it's 7 to 9 a.m., a party in the streets. It's the first time I've ever really had a chance to do this, and it's going to be killer. And I think it's at 48th and 6th. I think that is the exact location.
It's literally, that's exactly where we are, and I can literally see, and the entrance to their building and where you're going to do this is literally across the sidewalk from where I'm sitting right now. So I know exactly where you're going to be. It is.
Well, I hope I'll see you there and a bunch of fans down there. It's going to be a great time. And like I said, it's the first time I've got to play in the streets. I know it's early because we play 3 shows leading into that up in Stamford, Connecticut the night before. And we literally sound check at 4 a.m. in the morning.
Man, you should just pull an all-nighter, man. I don't even know.
Or an old school all-nighter with you. Here we go, an all-nighter. We need to go over to that Irish pub and just stagger onto that stage. It'd be perfect.
Break out the room temperature ice, baby.
Right.
That's unbelievable. Well, listen, and real quick on the TV show, tell us about this. It's off to a good start, I imagine. Rock My RV, huh?
Rock My RV started out great, and it's just grown, which is what you hope for, And like I said, it's for me. I've been RVing since I've been a child, and especially in my professional life. And it's really what I do. And I take people in. They have a dream. They bring their RV in, and we literally go in there and bust it out. But we make it rock star cool, but functional to go down the highway. And the show, it's a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, and people can actually see Bret Michaels' mechanical side. I can actually build and help fix your car. I'm pretty good at it. So I can wrench pretty good, and I've never shown that side before, but I've had to do it on probably every motorcycle or car I've ever had as a child growing up, and still do it now and enjoy it. But people enjoy the show. We demo these things, and then I want to tell anyone out there, I know a lot of creative people, a lot of music people have pets, and like I said, it officially announced last week that the Bret Michaels, my PetSmart, the whole line, is now a top-selling lifelong brand for them. So I want to thank the fans out there that are listening that bought some of it. Thank you.
Very cool. Going back to the mechanic thing real quick, Bret Michaels' bus breaks down in the middle of nowhere. Are you the guy crawling out of the bunk? Are you actually going to be able to get under that bus and fix it?
I will guarantee you this. I'm a co-fixer. I go in there. The driver usually knows best. I'm good at helping out. We've had some bad incidents recently with a collision with 3 deer, and I was out there helping to fix what we could salvage to get to the next place to be able to get another bus.
I would imagine a big tour bus like that hits a deer. That must just squash it like a mosquito, no?
Yeah, no. It was. Let me tell you something. Don't ever underestimate a deer. It's like hitting another truck. It's awful.
Well, I've hit him with my car, and that's very disconcerting because you feel like you may have hit a person if you for half a second, because it's such a thud and does so much damage. But I would think a bus being so much bigger kind of just rolls right over that.
You would have thumped that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It took the whole front end off. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That is simply amazing. The health is good. Everything's good. You're intact. No issues.
No, at the moment, nothing's wrong. I'm knocking on wood inside of my head. Everything is good. I feel great and ready to come and rock and roll.
Very good. And the last thing before I let you go. We are now, what is today? Today is like somewhere around the middle of July, the 22nd or something.
Yeah.
You and I both major NFL fans. Camps are about to open. I'm a Giants fan. You are a Steelers fan. Now, with camps about to open and maybe 6 weeks or so away from the season kicking off, which I can't wait for, how are you feeling about your Steelers for the upcoming season?
I always feel good. I always got faith that we are going to the Super Bowl. I can't think any other way about it. Even when I get discouraged, I try to keep the faith that it's going to be good.
Well, I'm the same way. I'm the glass half full when it comes to football. You got to feel that way. You got to feel that way.
I have to. Look, I do it with all my, again, and I say this, one thing I love about sports fans, some of my best friends, they're Bruins fans going against the Penguins. These are best friends I grew up with. You got all these different people. My Pirates are doing awesome, and I'm just saying it's one of those things where I respect people when they have that good ribbing about what's going on. But I tell you, the Giants, like the Steelers, they are smash mouth football, and I love the season. Can't wait for it to start.
Well, they're the two of the class organizations in the sport without question. And being that you're AFC, I'm NFC, I have utmost respect for the Steelers and no ill will towards them at all. But I love people who are so passionate about their teams and loyal to them, like I am with the Giants. And I know how you are with the Steelers because I've been on your bus. You had that shrine on your bus with Steelers.
I have like Duval Love shoes. You know what I mean? Like the lineman shoes are like this shrine. It's crazy. But I tell you what, man, it gets me jacked up. I feel sometimes like when I go on stage, I feel like rock and roll is a full contact sport.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
But you know, there's a mutual respect because I'll never forget this. A few years ago, I got to go to my first ever Super Bowl when the Giants beat the Patriots for the second time, the one in Indy. And, you know, it was the first time I was ever at a Super Bowl, and the game ends, and, you know, texts are flooding in, and you were one of the people that texted me and said, hey, man, congrats. I know how great this must feel for you. And, I mean, that means a lot because, you know, it's kind of like when you're that into football and you know, no matter even if it's not your team, when you know how much it means to that person, it's you know, it has a lot of impact on you.
Absolutely. It's funny, on that night, I texted you to say congrats, knowing you are diehard. My poor buddy Adam, diehard Patriots fan, was the next bittersweet cat. I'm like,
little different tone there.
Little different tone. My good friend, I'm sorry. You know, the other one is Eddie Party On. That is awesome.
I was so drained emotionally and physically after that Super Bowl that, I mean, because it was my first one, and, you know, the party started at 10 a.m., and then the game ends at 10 at night, and, you know, that game, of course, went right down to that last pass that, you know, just trickled out of the end zone to win the game. I mean, I was so shot, I didn't do anything but go to my room after that thing and just try to sleep because it was like, I felt like I played in the game.
Yeah, you get a knot in your stomach. It happens to me every season. My gut is uptight. I went up and did the Terrible Cow tour when we went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. I had to start the whole stadium, me and my daughters, and we're starting it down there. We're getting everyone going. I think my gut was more tight than any of the guys playing.
Yeah.
I felt like I was going to throw up. My stomach was that tight.
Yeah, it is the best sport. I can't wait. The season can't get here soon enough. Well, listen, man, it's so great catching up with you. Good luck with everything, and stay healthy, most importantly. And check out Bret on Fox and Friends, jamming early in the morning, 7 to 9 on Fox. And I'll play. Right now, I'll play two from the new album called Jammin' with Friends. I'll play Nothing But a Good Time with Ace and Michael Anthony. And then, since you mentioned it, I'll play the Unskinny Bop with Frank Hannon doing his guitar magic on that so people can check out a couple different things from this record.
You know it. Listen, thank you so much. And like I tell you, every time I see you, we have a lot of great stories and a lot of stuff, but thanks for your diehard love of music and keeping it rocking and rolling.
All right, Bret. You too, man. I'll talk to you soon, all right? Travel safe.
You know it.
All right, bye-bye. There he goes.